Yo, what's good, everyone? Ooh, happy Saturday afternoon. What's good, everyone? Again, it's your host, Ben, from the Lover of Tech channel. Saturday afternoon, Tech and Chill live show Unplugged. We are here in crispy 4K UHD. So as you know the routine, man, to get the best quality possible, depending on obviously what device that you have, click that gear icon, click on the high resolution, select 1440p, or click on 2160p 4K UHD. Yo, happy Saturday, you guys. It's a bit of a change up in terms of streaming time. Usually I like to stream Sunday evening, somewhere on or in between 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, UK, Europe, or 10 p.m. But tomorrow's probably going to be a long day. I kind of have a little bit of time now. So I thought, you know, let me knock it out because, man, this week when it comes to the Consumer Electronics Show 2020, damn, it's been probably one of the best CESs I've seen in a long time. So let's dissect as many topics that I can, and we can, as together, you know, so that we can really talk about what is kind of exciting about tech for 2020, which I think has started off really, really well, man. Even in its concepts phase, it's been really good. So let me see who's in the stream and in the chat. So as always, my chat, because of my second screen's here, so I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking at what you guys are saying. So Trenton Marshall, aka Mr. Petty Petty, aka Mr. Tech Grunt himself, what's good, bro? There it is. Yes, I need to. I think everything is just hiding behind the new YouTube studio. That new YouTube studio is taking all of the stuff because in the old school studio you can't change whether your content is for kids or not. So I think I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and get used to how to use the live streaming event section of the new YouTube studio. So that's another thing to consider. What's up, Max J? Welcome. The infamous leaker himself. What's good? I need that music. Yes. So that music is by Merlin, the wizard producer himself, UK based. He's on point. SoundCloud, not Epidemic. Pro tip: the best music is on SoundCloud, but you've got to search for it, ask for permission. It's a long process, but the best music's on SoundCloud. Just saying. Yo, technically T Divine in the house. What's good? What's going on? Smashing it on a new channel, man. So I need to sit down and I need to go through my artwork and I need to create new channel pretty much dedicated for all things cameras, gears, and especially vlogging. I love vlogging, man. I love the challenge of vlogging. I love the awkwardness of vlogging. I love how rewarding it feels to vlog. It's a different vibe, man. It gets you out your creative space. So lover of cameras and gear, that's going to be the second channel, man. And I think that content will do better on that channel than when I do it on here, because I do vlogs on this channel and it tanks, but I love doing them. I love talking cameras. I love talking gear. I have a decent amount of gear that I can talk about to really, you know, get that channel flowing, you know, so that's something I'm really going to push out of my comfort zone and really try my best to do. Yeah. So shout out to you, man. Go subscribe to his T, if you get a chance, man, go drop your new camera channel into the live stream link so whoever's in here can go check you out as well. So yeah, man. I'm guessing for my American brothers and sisters, man, it's nice in the AM, probably somewhere between 9 a.m. or I know my people in the West Coast, they probably still haven't woken up. It's probably like 5 p.m. So 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. So apologies that I'm doing it a bit early, but your boy's on daddy daycare duty, so I'm trying to squeeze in. So again, that's another disclaimer. If you see both my boys getting involved in this stream, deal with it. I'm not gonna apologize. Yeah, man, bring that new channel. I can't wait for it. Yeah, Brian. And I just, it's just more for YouTube reasons. Like the camera stuff doesn't do well on this channel. The vlogs don't do well on this channel. Few vlogs have, but genuinely speaking, it doesn't. So I need it to do well, but I need it to have its own space. You know, I've got 4 different lenses, a camera body, a camera grip, a light, a microphone. You know, I've got so much gear that I can literally review and have so much going for the channel, man. So yeah, something that's gonna be there. So Cleveland. Oh, so it's quarter to what, PM in Cleveland? Cleveland's not ahead. So it's 8:45 in the morning. Oh, cool. I hear that, man. So as you guys have seen in the title, man, the Consumer Electronics Show, CES, man, oh man. But before, I'm going to try and make this as regular as a segment as I can. But before we proceed, I wanted to actually start off with the funniest thing I saw on Twitter that made my insides feel all some kind of way. So there's a little kid, I think, trying to help his dad, like, grovel and shovel snow out the way, and yeah, he just oh, this is just too cute. It's just too cute. The kid just glitched, bang, and that's not the best. Just the way he picked him up. Yep, carry on, and he's just so. That's a life lesson. It's funny, but this whole thing is just a life lesson. I love this. Like, I watch it every time, man. If life hits you, man, just glitch up and go. Just glitch up. Right, before we proceed, sound check. Sound and video check. I know usually it's fine, but man, live streams are not live streams without issues. How is the audio sounding? Are we looking good? Is it syncing? Are we synced? Yep. For some reason, I've got the HLG color profile, HLG-III color profile. So if I look a bit weird and funky, blame it on Trenton. I've got the wrong LUT on. Let me see if the exposure's all right. I think I'm exposed properly. Autofocus. Yeah, autofocus is working. Glenn made it. What's good, Glenn? What is good? Man, so where do I even begin? Where do I even begin when it comes to CES? So the topic breakdowns are going to be these 3 things. Concept UFO by Dell. The Pro Nintendo Switch that isn't a Nintendo Switch for PC gamers, and I'm all for it. OnePlus with the Concept One, of course. We had to talk about the Concept One because Concept One looks dope. It looks sick. You know, it's electrochromic glass. I just like the sound of it. Electrochromic glass. And the Canon 1DX Mark III. And if there is time, we will talk about Nikon. Yes, we call it Nikon, but for you guys, Nikon as well. Z6/Z7 with the Atomos Ninja V or Ninja 5, which I have right here. I don't use it as often, but I still love it. It's the great investment. So Atomos Ninja V with ProRes RAW. Wow. The first hybrid mirrorless camera bodies that shoots photo and video to do external RAW over HDMI in 12-bit. Amazing. Like, I swear we are born in the best time. We are literally born in the best time. And I'm impressed. It's a mix of what I love. And yes, the camera talk stuff, that will go into the new channel for sure. It will, 100%. But while we're still here, we're going to do it Tech and Chill Show Unplugged style. I'm giving a free pass to anyone else that wants to join the stream, you know, whether it's a Skype call or whatever, let me know. We don't have to do this as a solo show. So yeah, you can come through. And I sorted out the fan profile on here. So you shouldn't really be able to hear the fan on the laptop anymore or as much. So audio should be nice and clear as well. Sounds great to me. Thank you, Glenn. Audio is good and on sync, my man. These TCL phones everyone's going on about, crazy over. Oh yeah, I missed them. If anyone can post me an article of the TCL phones that were announced at CES, that would be great. I love how most people were like, CES is a bunch of concepts. And it's true, it is, bro. CES has been a bunch of concepts for a hot minute. And then all of a sudden, they just threw a curveball and pretty much did one of the best consumer electronics shows we've had in a long time. Maybe it might be a 2020 new decade, new month, new year kind of vibe that they threw. Hell, I don't care if they came out or not. It's still cool to see. And I do agree with that. I think people are not used to concepts being displayed like how it is in the car industry. Like, concepts being displayed in the car industry is a very, very common thing. And I like the fact that the mobile industry is doing more public concepts. You know, I really like that. But people don't like that because it's a case of, what's the point if it's not going to come out? What is wrong with displaying technology in public? It's nice. It's nice. And I will discuss that when it comes to the Concept 1, because I discuss what the Concept 1 could be. And I'm so glad, whether as simple or as elegant or as not as blow your mind as it was, I'm glad when they revealed the functional benefits of the Concept 1. I didn't know. And most of you know my profession. And for me not to know anything about that product, it says a lot. You know, so let me see if I can pull up Dell Concept UFO first article. I couldn't find any articles on it, but Dell Concept UFO. I'm the stone that the builder refused. I'm the visual, the inspiration to make Ladies in the Blue. R.I.P. John Witherspoon, aka Pops. Godox. Bum 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 ba-da. Jiddo flip. Check. I tend to like The Verge's website. Let me see if The Verge have an article on the Dell Concept UFO. I think they do. I think they do. Oh yeah. So, as you know, I need an Elgato Stream Deck so I can just switch. Bang. Here we are. Here we go. Right. Alienware, which is obviously one of the subsidiary gaming brands of the Dell Incorporated family. Alienware's Concept UFO prototype imagines a gaming PC that shaped like a Nintendo Switch. And I said in the last two live streams, Xbox One X is the most powerful current gen, well, obviously the new gen process gaming consoles are coming out this year. Right now, right? You could argue that the PlayStation 4 series, including the PlayStation 4 Pro, is the best one because it just did so many right, man. The first party IPs, great starting price from the get-go, great hardware from the get-go. Like, you would say Sony probably have the best one, right? But my favorite is the Nintendo Switch. In a short space of time, like, yes, my normal pockets, maybe it might be bigger than usual, but it fits in my normal pocket. So I'm like, I'm even more excited to get a Switch Lite. So Yeah, I've got two boys. One has a Switch Lite. It's gonna make less fighting, you know, especially when they're in the car and stuff. And I'm all looking forward to the next generation of the Pro version or the Switch 2, whatever. That whole being able to game in pretty much every situation that you're in. Like, I have a car holder for the Switch now that the kids have it clamped in there like a tablet holder and they can play together. You know, it's not perfect, but it's so usable. Like, I had both my boys plus, you know, both my nephew and my niece in there. All four of them were on Mario Kart playing at the back of the car. And I was like, these kids are so lucky that this is what they're growing up to, you know. And Switch is very user friendly as well, very family friendly, very safe games, very cartoony, very art driven, and you know, I love it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. It's like great out of here. But man, Dell took it, flipped it, reversed it, and gave us a concept look of what we might want the Switch Pro to look like. So this is it. This is for PC, right? This is running on Windows but with a custom UI. And you know, as it says, Alienware is best known for their beefy gaming laptops. Yes, we know. Windows 10 gaming PC shrunken down into the form factor that is very similar to a Nintendo Switch, complete with detachable controllers and a dock to look it up to hook it up to a TV and a monitor. I really like it. It's an 8-inch display. That's what she said. 1200p display. I didn't even know that. Raw. Damn. The battery and all the processor and graphic hardware. I think it's dope. USB Type C, all the things. Look at that controller. Look at the RGB. Look, it's got indented. Man, I'm for this. And the kickstand is like a full kickstand at the back. It literally folds all the way down, and it's a strong, sturdy one. And the USB Type C is at the top and the bottom. So, yeah. This does not look like a concept. This to me looks like a finished product. And you may think it looks big and woody, but actually, ergonomically, it's a much more comfortable design by the looks of it, man. And I'm all for this. You know, will this? Yes, enter. Come. I did warn you. Kids are gonna be part of it. Come in, boys. What's up?
I wanted Rafi to play with me.
You wanted Rafi to play with you? On what?
On
On
the PlayStation.
the PlayStation. Well, ask him nicely if he wants to play with you then. Oh, this is gonna be the this live stream is gonna be funny. And resume after Daddy Daycare duties. So now the only thing that they refuse to talk about within the concept UFO is the internal specifications and stuff. And I think it is running on Intel's latest generation integrated hardware. I think with what Intel are doing, and I think even more with what AMD's doing with their application program interface, the APUs, the system on the chips that are 7nm based, have a processor and graphics, basically a system on a chip. Man, this as an extension to what PC gaming is, I am all for it. I'm all for it. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, that looks. Look at that. The whole base is a kickstand. Great ventilation. This does not look like a concept product. This looks finished. The docks are magnetic. Like the Alienware logo looks dope. The D-pad looks on point. The thumbsticks look comfortable. The buttons, man, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm gonna need some interaction on this. But this will not replace PC gaming, because obviously PC gaming, as an original PC master race person from Cisco networking days, building my own PC for years and stuff, man. What time is it there, Ben? So time now is exactly 2 p.m. Exactly 2 p.m. It's exactly 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So I'm in the middle of a house move. Thank goodness. Great way to start the year. Bigger place, bigger house. Fine, first house actually. Tomorrow there's 2 church services, and I'm the main videographer for church, so I'm probably gonna be recording and broadcasting both services. So I'm gonna be kicked out like when we finish. So I just don't think I'll have time to stream tomorrow. So I thought, let me squeeze in this week's stream. You know, to me, live streaming with you guys is even more important than doing reviews and content on the channel, even though those are the things that grow this particular channel. Like, if you know the metrics of this channel, man, my best viewed videos are my phone reviews, my phone camera, my phone camera comparisons, man. Like, they made this channel what this is, and luckily enough, I enjoy doing them. You know, and also battery charging comparisons and all those things. That is the bread and butter of this channel, man. It grows it. But my favorite thing I'd love doing with you guys, man, is live streams. Live streams are so much more fun. There's more room to elaborate. There's more room to stretch. So, yeah, man. No confirmation on whether Alienware will turn concept UFO into an actual product. Please do. Oh my goodness, please do. Please make this into an actual product. Right now, the prototype is that it's a prototype. It's even early stage. It's a bold vision. It's this is part of the future, man. Please, Alienware, make this happen. I apart from the price is like asking me to sell a kidney, I have near enough nothing bad to say about this. I'm being serious. Like, call me a fanboy, but I'm a fan of the form factor. And what was funny is I was expecting Nintendo to be the first to show something like this. Obviously, Nintendo is probably going to be the most likely first person to release a ready product. I mean, with all the rumors that's coming out with the Switch Pro for 2020, you know it's going to happen. And Nintendo kind of do need it to happen, because the Nintendo Switch as a platform for bringing in third-party ports, they've been smashing it. You know, Witcher 3, so many third-party ports have been coming over to the Switch that has really, really thoroughly impressed me. And what they need to do now, they need a stopgap of a particular Switch that's just a bit more powerful to support 4K output, not 4K gaming per se, but 4K output with a bit more headroom, so that third-party developers can really port these devices over. That's what I think, you know? I didn't know how much of a fanboy I was going to be of this form factor of gaming on the go, in terms of 3 different modes: handheld, tabletop, as well as docked. It's reinvigorated why I loved gaming so much. And the Nintendo Switch has done that. You know, and at this stage in my life where I don't have the luxury to sit down and outright game, having something like the Switch where I can carry it with me everywhere, with, and like especially the revamped version now with the better battery life and the brighter screen and the more efficient processor, where you're getting somewhere between 5 to 7 hours of battery life on the go. And like you're bossing Smash Bros on the train to work, and it felt like 5. Yeah, so many situations. So well done, Nintendo, for making people wake up that this form factor is here to stay. It's the present and it's the future. Thank you, Alienware. Thank you, Dell, for actually being brave enough to show this concept, and please make it into a full product. That's what I gotta say. Please make this into a full product. I am all for it. You know, I'm all for it. So, let me go into the comment section. Fanboy. Trenton. Trust you. Always. Oh, mate. So that is the Alienware concept UFO prototype. On point. And it's refreshing, man, because I like to pride myself in critiquing and fairly critiquing. And it's refreshing. I mean, obviously there's going to be bad sides to this product. I feel like the first iteration of this product will be at least £600. You know, I think it will be an expensive product. I mean, there's some. I don't even think there's rough edges. I think the form factor looks so well polished. I think this just looks, you know, a potential fragmentation of the PC games. Is the hardware powerful enough? Would you get enough optimization? I don't know, but you know, I wouldn't say it's just the future of gaming. I would say this is the perfect extension of the future of gaming. Yeah. 100% all for it. 100% all for it. So, let's move on. What's our time? 27 minutes. Yeah, with a lot of rambling. I'm good with that. Whoo. Okay. All right. Cool. Quick interlude. Again, Tech and Chill Show today is brought to you by myself, Ben, from Lover of Tech channel. And as you guys know, we are in crispy 4K UHD, so click that gear icon and select the high resolution from 1080p to 1440p, all the way up to 2160p 4K UHD. So, I might have to turn this into a podcast, man. I have to. Actually, I might have to. New channel and podcast. I have to. 100%. As long as I don't need to drop £2,000 on a gaming on a rig for gaming, Samsung Bally. Samsung Bally. Samsung, man. I don't know. Hello. Abe, what's good? Yeah, the thing is, the very thing I loved about the PC scene was the very thing that ended up turning me away, because the PC scene is a very expensive hobby. It's a very expensive hobby. Like, I think the next thing after that is probably the car industry. It gets expensive. It can get tedious as well. But at heart, I love the PC scene. I think it's, in my head and in my heart, it's the best gaming platform. But ultimately, it doesn't get all the love that it needs to get, because game developers obviously have a certain exclusivity, and consoles are important. And if the PC is gonna steal inspiration from places like the Nintendo Switch to bridge the gap, I'm all for it. This is where the imitation is the best form of flat roofing. I'm all for it. Dell, run with it. Make it happen. So long as you don't get sued for some form of infringement, go with it, run with it, make it happen. This will be healthy for the PC industry. I think so personally. And some people were having great ideas of, having a stylus built in so it's easier to use in terms of navigating. So probably the screen might end up being a Wacom digitized screen, or Wacom as some people like to call it, but I like to call it Wacom. This is great. This is a good utilization of manufacturing and fabrication processes becoming more efficient, and being able to put more transistors in a smaller space, or even more transistors within the same space but having more efficiency. So bring it on, man. Like, with what AMD are doing with the Ryzen 4000 series APUs, Intel with their new generation integrated GPUs into their new 10 nanometer chipsets, utilize it, man. Concept UFO looks dope. Honestly, Concept UFO looks dope. Now moving on to the next topic. Oh, desktop. Ooh, this looks buff. I don't care what no one says. Concept One. I'm so glad I knew practically nothing or not enough about this product, because it impressed me. So I'm going to drop some nuggets on why I think this is a good look for OnePlus. So I think this is a good look for OnePlus because OnePlus has never been seen to be a company that innovates. I don't think that's ever been their forte. And I think with them branching out into new products that they've made and they're making, such as OnePlus TV, and obviously new products that are coming, I think into the new year, into the new decade, OnePlus turning 6 years old, I think they wanted to show people that, look, guys like Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi have their innovation days. They have so many things that they do to showcase and flex, whether it's their charging tech, so many things that show that they have an innovative side of them. OnePlus have never, I don't think they have. And that's not a bad thing, because I think innovation that word innovation gets overly drowned, and I think everything gets slapped on that innovate, right? But I think this is a good look. So Oppo, as you guys know, did the disappearing camera on the selfie camera, which I think is equally, if not more impressive in its own way, right? And that functionally served only one purpose: aesthetics and killing the notch completely, right? There wasn't any other functional purpose of it. What I like about this is that it serves that same purpose that the disappearing camera and the selfie camera does, but you're putting in a rear camera where potentially, as we've seen, we are putting more lenses behind these cameras, and the complaint of how ugly they look is there. I personally believe that it's partly blown out proportion, but at the same time, you kind of understand that maybe with a premium phone, there should be some form of ooh and ah aesthetics drawn to it that should be paid off, right? I think this is a good answer. So, as you guys know, this is a partnership with McLaren. It seems like the McLaren partnership with OnePlus is really kicking off well, man. McLaren, shout out to them. British company in Woking, best car company in the world. I'm biased like that because I love McLaren to bits. It's based on the same electrochromatic glass that is used in their sunroof technology that you'll find in something like the McLaren GT or the McLaren 720S. And it's dope. It's dope that they've been able to miniaturize the tech, make it quick enough to be able to disengage and re-engage, and it just makes the back of the phone looks clean. Now, again, papaya orange, people are not always a fan of that color, maybe the stitching, but I like it. I really like it. And this is where it's a bit subjective, right? I like this look. This is obviously practically based on a OnePlus 7T Pro with a few touches where you've got the chrome, so the gold outfitting. It's pure gold, but in a sense of like there's a process of it being pure gold, but not exactly pure gold, so it's not soft and brittle. You know, there's still a bit of strength and rigidity in there. I think this is dope, and it's dope in the fact that it also acts as a neutral density filter. That is going to be the first my man G, Eric, and also Pete Lau. Who else is there? Yeah. Concept one looking dope. Yeah, so I mean that's a McLaren edition of the 7T Pro. I think it's nice, man. I think it's nice, and I'm looking forward to such designs coming through. I like also the fact that it acts as a neutral density filter, which is also a good thing and a bad thing, not in terms of the function. It's just communicating to people what that is, because I think a lot of normal people, and I watched Casey Neistat's vlog, and he was speaking to Lando Norris, who is actually one of the Formula 1 drivers for McLaren, and when he was showing him, he said, oh, it acts as an ND filter, and he's like, what's that? And I'm like, Lando Norris didn't know what that was, right? And you had to explain it to him that, oh, it basically acts as a day and night filter. I think that's going to be the hardest thing for communicating to the normal person. I'm trying to move away from the average consumer. The normal person that probably wouldn't know what an ND filter is, how to communicate it to them, how to educate them on when and how to use it. Because so far as I know, it only works in a pro mode. And I know for a fact, not many people go into the pro mode. I know how to use the pro mode. I go into it a lot, but not many people know how to use the pro mode. So apart from the aesthetic reason, which I think approaching it from an aesthetic point of view, I'm all for it. If everyone's going to sing and praise about Oppo doing it for the front-facing camera, which we know visually is going to be more pleasing because there's no notch and it's going to be, you know, the next generation of their panoramic display, as they like to call it, in terms of all borderless or bezel-less display. I personally think this approach to having an invisible camera for aesthetics, to have a cleaner looking phone that looks more premium, feels more premium, and has the function of acting as sunglasses for your camera to get perfect exposure. I think it goes up to ND8. It stops down to ND8 straight away. I think it's a good look. I think it's something that shows that it's not just advanced, but it's clever. You know, you've got aesthetics to mind, and there's some form of functionality into it. I think my biggest problem is educating, communicating, and letting the normal person that doesn't go into pro mode understand when and how to use this feature. We do. I mean, us camera guys that know how to deal with ND filters for exposure as well as long exposure for photos and stuff, right? You know, I think that's going to be the biggest challenge that they have. But I love the concept one. Personally, I think it looks dope. I think the McLaren partnership and the swagger with it is it's a good look. And as cameras on the rear are being added up to look so much more, right? I think being able to hide it away like this looks good. And I think even what's up, Rafi? Come.
This is
What's up? I told you you're gonna be getting kids interruption. How come you put it away? Why did you undock it?
I wanted Rafi.
Come. You wanted Rafi to play with you? Yeah, but where did you want him to play with you? On the PlayStation? Yeah. Okay, then Rafi, go and play on the PlayStation then. Come, wait, take this away. There you go. Yeah? Close the door.
Okay.
Alright. Told you, man. Yeah. I pause, play, resume. I don't have a problem that they're tackling a problem based on aesthetics. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. It's no different to the invisible camera for the selfie. And I also like the fact that they've been able to gain a function. I didn't even think in my mind that was going to be a functional thing. And when they brought it up, I was like, you know what? I'm so glad that I didn't push to really get to know, because I could have known about the concept one, full details. But I'm glad I chose it because there was an element in me where I was like, nothing is a surprise nowadays. I just want to be surprised. And I was surprised. And it took me. And I was like, you know what? They just need to work on educating, communicating it, and making the normal person, not the pro advanced user that knows how to deep dive into there, but a normal user to understand when, or what it is, how to use it, and when to use it. If they can do that, I'm all for this. And even Aaron, Mr. Who's the Boss, did a nice video concept of where, what if technology like that could help you pick the different colors that you want on the outer look of your phone or on the look of your phone based on electrochromatic glass. And I mean, there's the detriment to battery life as well, yes, but I think it looks dope. Man. I think it looks dope. So OnePlus Concept 1, it's a concept, first generation. You won't see that exact phone, but expect that technology to be trickled down into phones, man. And that's a good look. Well done to OnePlus for showcasing their side of innovation. And yeah, man, good look. Man, we're chowing through this. It serves another purpose to let people know when. Oh, that is so jokes. What I would like to see then is the option to have it auto enabled or not. Yeah, I think there should be an Trenton is so petty, bruv. So petty. Yes, what's good, Abdul? Good to see you again, man. You good? The phone looks like a car. Looks like a car for me. I mean, that's the whole idea, man. It's based on the design language with the McLaren GT as well as the McLaren 720S, which, yeah, I want to drive a McLaren 720S for sure. Man, we are plowing through this quickly. Which is good. Consumer electronic show. What else? Oh, this topic is gonna be juicy. This topic is definitely gonna be juicy. But pause and interlude, as we know. Thank you to all the new people that have joined the stream. Today's Tech and Chill show is brought to you by by myself, Ben, from Lover of Tech. And as always, you know that this stream is brought to you in nice, crispy 4K UHD. So again, depending on what device that you have and your bandwidth, click the gear icon, select 1080p, 4040p, or even higher, the maximum, the crispy 2160p 4K UHD. Man, thank you, man. I appreciate you guys being on here. I know it's an early morning for some of you and kind of a curveball, but I thought let me squeeze it in today, right now, while I have a bit of time, so that I can also relax, do some stuff, and chill out and go. So, Canon, wow. We are going to be talking about this, the Canon 1DX Mark III, and next to the C500 Mark II, Canon has come swinging. Wow. I think this is a true sequel to the Canon 1DC. Not even a 1DX, 1DC. This camera is a Frankenstein. When I say it's a Frankenstein, it's so future compatible and it's so into the future, but it's stuck in an old school body that is known as a digital single lens reflux camera, DSLR. DSLRs are dinosaurs. They're old. It's old technology. Mirrorless is where it's at, right? But it's a purposeful move because the main function is DSLRs are just much more robust. DSLRs are tanks, just naturally by build, right? And DSLRs are they're just more reliable. They're robust. They're tanks. You can do much better weather sealings with them. There's a mirror that's covering your sensor, so your sensor gets better, way better protection. Like, I could count how many times I'm having to clean my sensor, and I need to get a sensor cleaning kit for my A6400. But yeah, man, let's switch over. Whew, the Canon 1DX Mark III, 12-bit internal 5.5K RAW. Yeah, you heard right. Full frame, full coverage, no crop, even up to 60 frames a second, no crop. This is practically the first mirrorless hybrid body. Well, okay. The Leica SL1 was. This is practically the first full frame body to basically do a full frame readout in 5.5K at 4K or higher, full frame with no crop. First camera to do that I know, no crop, in 60 frames a second at 5.5K as well as 4K, no crop. Nuts. Let me see if I can put up an article. And I'm gonna try and see if I can find a white paper as well, so that we can see the full breakdown of the specs and stuff. And can you please load, please? Thank you. Finally, Canon gets serious with DSLR video. Man, this is nuts. This is nuts. Canon is clear that there will be no crop in 5.5K internal RAW or DCI 17:9 aspect ratio, which is obviously DCI is the digital cinema incentives widescreen look on this camera. The 4K UHD is super sampled, oversampled, 5.5K down. That's the exact resolution. 5.5K RAW up to 60 frames a second with no crop. Guys, no crop. And this is using the new generation CF Express. Thank you. Thank you very much for using CF Express. It's way into the future. Like, man, it's based on PCI Express NVMe memory. People are against it, but when you're at this level, this is the kind of media that you need to be putting in there for sports photography, as well as if you're doing these type of bit rates. You know, it's nuts though. I mean, the bit rate for the RAW is, I don't believe out of it you can pick different RAW compressions. to help with your storage management, which is kind of nuts though, which is nuts. The data rates are nuts. But the codecs, yeah, I mean, it says you'll get just 13 minutes of 12-bit 5.5K RAW at 60 frames a second on a 256 gigabytes C Fast Express card. And the cards currently cost in the region of $500. Ooh, yeah, they are expensive. But this is the tech that you need to put in there to have no bottleneck. This is showing, obviously, like I said, a 17:9 aspect ratio in DCI 4K. And also the 5. Yeah, I'm all for this. So yeah, the Panasonic S1H and the Leica 2 do use an 8:3 pixel readout. Boom, 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 boom. However, the Leica S2 disables log at 60p due to it being 8-bit again, reserving this for the 10-bit modes. Canon is also beating Sony to the punch. The cameras have a maximum 30p oversample 5.5 or 6K modes offered on their various mirrorless options. Uniquely, the 182 features a full frame. Yeah. Except for, yeah, man, I don't know what you guys are saying. Okay. This is, I believe, the table for the data rates. There is almost not a codec that this doesn't really do. So you've got the All-I codec, you've got the IPB codec, which is obviously H.264, H.265, and obviously at the higher rates, it is unfortunately a proprietary RAW codec. It's nothing new. Blackmagic does their own proprietary codec. Canon does their own Cinema Raw Lite on their cinema cameras, which is a lot easier to manage with. Blackmagic Raw is a very good one to manage with as well. ProRes Raw is another proprietary one at the minute. Yeah, I would love to see different compressions here to help with your data management, because if you look at in terms of the duration, you know, you need a 1 terabyte CF Express card to get the maximum 60 frames a second, and that's a 50-minute recording. And a 1 terabyte CF Express card, that's buck. That is buck still. Over 1 hour, if you're looking at 30 frames a second, and at these frame rates, right? Here, you will be getting dual pixel autofocus. The only time you're not going to be getting dual pixel autofocus is in this frame rate here, right? But there is no crop. No crop. Canon are the first ones to do it. No crop. No crop. Basically, there's no crop in any of the modes to get any of the shooting features. No crop. This new generation Digic X processor, or Digic 10 processor, should have people excited for the EOS R Mark II or the EOS R Pro, whatever they're going to call it. Canon came swinging. They went from being a person that crippled everything to basically say, here, just, all right, have it. Just have everything. You may not need it, but just go on, have it. Kitchen sink, bucket, have it all. Right? Look at the data rate. 4K DCI. Full frame. Right? Up to 60 frames a second. All-I codec. 1000 megabits per second. And if you guys don't know what All-I is, all intra codec is practically internal ProRes. Not exactly ProRes, but it's near enough going to give you the same efficiency and the same data rates as you would get with ProRes. And it's awesome. It's a great intermediary codec to deal with. And it edits like editing with ProRes and All-I codec, editing is so nice with it. IPB, obviously with the IPB is the long up codec, and that is what you're looking at when it comes to H.265 and also H.264 in what is most likely an MP4 container. So as you can see here, MPEG-4 HEVC, which is the high efficiency video codec, H.265, and its internal 42 at 10 bit, not 420, 42 10 bit. Man, nuts, absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Yeah. So, I'm gonna say this. Hey, LeBaron, what's good? What is good? LeBaron, what's good? Shout out to LeBaron coming through. What's good, bro? What's good, bro? Never mind. I see you. You missed the smartphone. Wonder. They did bring the specs for the shop, bro. It's not just the specs, right? Because let me tell you what my thoughts on this are, right? This is the best body for sports photography on the market right now, right? Compared to the this to me, as good as the A9 Mark II is and the A9 II is, this wipes the floor off it. Because the biggest problem I have with the A9 and the A9 Mark II is that these are still using UHS-II cards. Now, if you don't understand storage media, I'm gonna probably try and do a video on the channel where I kind of go a bit in depth about it and try and do it Gerald on Dunn style, but you know, with the Idris Elba touch to it, obviously. UHS-II is the fastest format for SD you can get, but the SD technology has not been improved since UHS-II. They haven't brought out a spec for UHS-III, right? So the bottleneck is the fact that the A9 Mark II doesn't have an unlimited buffer. You would still be waiting for pictures that you're shooting at that maximum 20 frames a second or 10 frames a second to write you to your SD cards. In a professional environment, you could miss a key shot. This, because of CF Express, the new Digic X processor, it also has a Digic 8 processor that is a whole processor that powers the EOS-R just for focusing in certain modes. It basically has an unlimited buffer, practically unlimited. Honestly, practically unlimited. Nothing. If you are not using this camera going into the Olympics, boy, I don't know what you're meant to be using. A whole new 20.1 megapixel sensor, right? It's been redesigned. It's on point. Like, what's up, boys? Boys, what are you doing? Alright, then dock it and play the Nintendo. It's for all the slack that we give Canon. I'm one of them. This is where you can see that they put money where their mouth is. At £6,500, right? Honestly, this is good value. Like, the amount that you're getting in here is crazy. This is not for the average YouTuber, like even in the video mode, right? It just isn't, right? You get, but the fact that you've got class leading autofocus, you've got Canon's ease of use, right? You've got that robust battery life. I would say if you want to get a camera like this with this video feature so that it doesn't have the unlimited, it doesn't have the recording limits, and it's not in a DSLR body. The DSLR body is not really good for video, in my opinion. You know, you need a movable screen. All the technology in here, this should get you excited that if Sony don't come correct, the EOS-R Mark II or the EOS-R Pro will be the best hybrid body camera. This, the S1H, the main thing the S1H has over this is a body that is much easier to use. The flip screen on the S1H is phenomenal, right? But for me, in terms of video capabilities, right? Yes, the S1H has got the Netflix certification. Boys, come.
But we have to finish our FIFA 20 match.
Okay. Why don't you finish your FIFA 20 match? What's the matter? You want to play on the Nintendo? Why don't you finish the FIFA football match with David first? This is raw behind the scenes of how to be a dad. Finish. How long is left on the FIFA? David, Rafi, finish the FIFA match, and then you can play Nintendo. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Go and finish playing the FIFA match, and then come back, and you can play the Nintendo. Yeah. Close the door. Damn. Right. And it was a weird critique because, you know, Atomos Ninja V, Atomos are on a roll. I love Atomos as a company. Jeremy Young, the CEO, if I ever see you, I'll buy you a beer or something. They announced that with the S1H, you're going to be able to get external 6K ProRes RAW to this recorder on the S1H. But it doesn't do it internally. It does not do it internally. And that's one thing I was like, couldn't Panasonic have designed their own internal proprietary RAW codec? Again, adding more fragmentation to the RAW codec scene, unfortunately. Like what Blackmagic did with the Blackmagic RAW. It doesn't shoot internal RAW on the S1H, right? But the S1H, in terms of usability, is a very, very user-friendly camera. The flip articulating screen that flips up, flips out. The port connections being much more robust because it's full size. You know, the XLR1 adapter, there's so much more usable. But in terms of video capabilities, and obviously the S1H has unlimited video recording. In terms of video capabilities, what the 1DX Mark III has showcased, on top of being the best sports photography camera body you can have, to me, it's in a whole class of its own. It's using storage media that is well above. Both the card slots are CF Express, right? Redundancy as well as writing to it at the same time, or relay writing, and it's hot swappable. And obviously the HDMI doesn't do external RAW like ProRes RAW to a recorder, but you get the full 4K 60p as well as 4210-bit external, and you can bypass all the unlimited recording, and you can record to something like this or Shogun 7 or Shogun Inferno. Personally, I'm not necessarily excited for someone to buy this 1DX Mark III for video. I'm just more excited that we all thought Canon just didn't have the tech. Let's all be honest. We thought they didn't have the tech, but what they've shown is that, nah, actually, we do have the tech. To the point where we've got the tech more than a lot of you guys think, to the point where we're really way ahead of what you lot are doing. There is no camera in a hybrid body that is doing what this is doing. Not even close. And I mean it to the core. This A7S III is long in the tooth, Sony. If you do not come with something serious, and I'm talking about something paper-worthy, and then as well as paper-worthy, user-worthy, right? Boy, best know that not just the 1DX Mark III, but when that EOS R Mark II or EOS R Pro comes out, all the people that switch to the A7 III are going to switch to that. Promise you that. 100% promise you that. If that doesn't tell you something, I'm thoroughly impressed with what this 1DX Mark III stands for. It is overkill. You know, if you're going to buy this to use it as a video camera, the body is not user friendly for video. It's on point for sports photography because it needs to be robust. It needs to be a tank. The screen needs to be fixed. You know, it doesn't need to be flexing around. There needs to be less moving parts for it to really, you know, that's the purpose of it. Less moving parts, so reliability is at its maximum for those situations, so that when you're doing your weather sealing, it's class leading weather sealing. When it comes to temperature drops or temperature increase, it can withstand those things. You're paying for that extra build as well as that extra capability of having that practically unlimited frame buffer for sports photography up to 20 frames a second with autofocus tracking, as well as all the technology that goes into CF Express, as well as all the capabilities of what it can do in video. Like in video, it even trumps, bar not having unlimited recording, it even trumps some high-end cinema cameras in what you can do. 5.5K, 12-bit RAW, up to 60 frames a second, full frame readout with no crop. The fact that you're getting dual pixel autofocus up to 30 frames a second is a flipping bonus. Because last I checked, the S1H doesn't even do autofocus. And when you want to do 4K 60 frames a second, guess what happens? It crops in 1.5 times. Do you want to know what the crop mode is on this? 1.3. The crop mode is not even 1.5 like how it should be on an APS-C or Super 35. It's a 1.3 crop. So for all the slack Canon got, they've been able to cancel out crop and they've only put it down to 1.3. Overkill, yes. Price, I think the price is good for this arena. Call me out, call me crazy, I am. It's an expensive product. You play to play. And the argument of the case of, oh, the storage is expensive, this, find me, I could only find on Amazon. Let's go look. Let's go look. Yes, Raphael. What is up? Come. After. I said after I finish streaming, I'll play with David. So go and play the Nintendo. Yay. David, just play the Nintendo. I'll play with you after. Rafi, close the door. Hey, I got the woo train in the house. Tally ho tech, what's good? What's good? He lives in the future in a country called Australia. Woo! Tally ho tech, what's good, man? Guys, if you want no BS straightforward laptop reviews, go subscribe to my bro Tally ho tech, based in Australia, in the future, down below where the devil lives. Nah, I'm joking. Let's find UHS-II. Again, this will be coming onto the Camera Talk channel. But while we're still here, UHS-II SD. Okay. Right, so a 128 gigabyte UHS-II card. That's the highest storage I've been able to find for UHS-II. Let's try and see. CF Express. CF Express card. This is the argument I was making, right? Including taxes. 128 gigabyte CF Express card is £225. How much more expensive is it for the same storage? And look at the technology increase that you're getting compared to CF Express and UHS-II. So I think the argument that people are making that CF Express is way too expensive, I don't think so. I don't think CF Express, storage for storage against the fastest UHS-II cards that you can get, is as expensive as people are making it out to be, based on what you're getting in terms of read and write speeds, a much more robust media, and a much more solid technology that unlocks the ability to have better feature options when you need it, whether you're shooting in high bitrate all-eye codec at 400 megabits per second all the way up to 1000 megabits per second, or you're shooting full frame 5.5K 12-bit raw. Even if it's in short burst, this media, with the new Digix X processor, with the higher buffer, the newer sensor, and the newer features, enables that all to go through, right? How is that not good value? I'm coming from the perspective, I'm not saying go in debt and buy a 1DX Mark III. No, don't do that. But I'm saying that for the arena that this is targeted at the Olympic shooter, do you know how much tech and how much money they're gonna make with this body, especially if they're already in the ecosystem, right? Use this the same batteries. You don't need to get a new battery, so they're not ripping you off there, right? CF Express is the next iteration of CFast cards, which this is way faster and it's way cheaper than CFast cards. If people didn't know, right? Let me come back to the scene. And on the fly, you're going to be getting video features. So I'm now worried for the A7S III because I don't think the A7S III is going to live up. unless Sony have some new generation processors and a much bigger body that they're willing to fit in, I don't think the A7S III is going to match up to what the Canon 1DX Mark III is going to do. And then on top of that, I think the EOS R Mark II and the EOS Pro, it's going to be, personally, unless Sony come out swinging, which I love Sony, they have come out swinging, but what I'm seeing here, man, boy, I'll tell you what, we need to watch what's coming with the EOS R and the EOS R Mark II, the EOS R Pro. This is a good look. And I'm glad they pushed the boundary, and they're making CF Express a media that needs to be done. All that's going to do is, and I've shown it, 128 gigabyte CF Express, £225, right? £225 for 128 gigabyte CF Express, and you're getting 1,700 megabytes, not megabits, megabytes per second read speed and a write speed of 1,200 megabytes per second. UHS-II, right? 200. That's a £25 difference. Look at the technology increase. So, yeah, with any pro body scene that you buy into, right, it's not just pick up and go. Yes, there's an element where Canon are doing bundles where you're getting a lot more. So, for example, in the UK, £6,500 is going to be coming out mid-February, right? You buy it, you get a 64 gigabyte CF Express card plus the reader and a small accessory pouch. So if you've got EF Glass, which obviously they're assuming that you do, unless you buy an EF Glass bundle, right? Pick up and go and you're ready to use it. And it's not just about using the RAW all the time. You've got H.265, which is going to give you the 10-bit, even less storage, better compression and bit rates. You can use your traditional H.264 at 8-bit. You can then use your all-eye codec, which is going to give you internal 422 10-bit. Or you can crank it all the way up. Find a camera in this body at this price point, right, that has all that level of codec flexibility. This is the first camera to do full frame, 4K, in DCI, Ultra HD, up to 60 frames a second, as well as 5.5K, up to 60 frames a second, full frame with no crop. And I'm driving this home that the fact that it does dual pixel autofocus up to 30 frames a second is a flipping bonus. Most cameras crop when you do 4K at 60 frames a second with no autofocus. The S1H doesn't do it. No one is praising Canon. It's a case of, oh, it's too expensive. You know, maybe the body's a bit too expensive or it's complete overkill. Bro, like £4,000 for an S1H, and it doesn't do anywhere near the photo capabilities that this one does. As well as not having the media technology that is CF Express. UHS-II, unless the SD Card Alliance come out with a UHS-III spec and bring up the read and write speeds up to 1,000 megabytes per second, right? UHS-II, as much as I love the form factor of SD, is now becoming a dead technology compared to XQD and CF Express. XQD is what you find in the Lumix S1 and S1R. XQD is also what you find in the Z6 and the Z7 from Nikon. So it tells you that somewhere along the line, the SD card technology is a massive bottleneck to not just pro photography, but even some pro level video. Overall, I'm impressed with the 1DX Mark III. Not to say to buy it, because the DSLR body is a dinosaur. I wouldn't recommend DSLR bodies for myself personally. I like using EVFs. I'm used to EVFs. That's what I've used to shoot. OVFs in terms of optical viewfinders have their benefits, but it's weird when I use an OVF. I'm excited for the EOS R Mark II. Canon, this Digic X processor, it's mad. Mad thing. Absolute mad thing. Ratings. Ratings for that. You're reaching. Was not created to compete with the 1DX Mark, but it will be overall better for prosumer package. I don't think it will be. I don't think it will be able to pack the peach. So, Sean, you're telling me that the A7S III, right, in terms of the video aspects, is going to be able to match up to what Canon have done here. So you're saying Sony are going to be able to do somewhere between 5 to 6K full frame with no crop. Definitely won't be able to shoot internal RAW. I'll bet you that, because they're still going to be using SD card tech. They're not going to use XQD. They're not going to use CF Express. They're still going to be bottlenecked to UHS-II. Maybe they might be able to pull off 4K at 90 frames a second, like you were saying. Are you honestly telling me you're confident that Sony is going to be able to give you all the recorder modes that you want with no crop and no overheating as well? You're confident in that? All right, we'll see. I hope Sony lives up to it, because as an avid Sony user, I'm a Sony user myself, right? You use Panasonic. I'm a Sony user, and I'm bet guaranteeing you, unless Sony make the bodies much bigger, unless Sony really put next class leading processors in there that don't just offer class leading autofocus, but actually have great compression, bro. I don't think Sony still uses H.264 codecs. They still haven't incorporated a H.265 at least somewhere between 200 to 300 megabits per second 10-bit data rates, even at 420. They've not done it. Fuji's done it. They haven't done it. And that's not a sensor readout thing alone, right? That's internally what you're prioritizing, the power of what the camera does to certain things, and they're prioritizing it more for class leading autofocus, which I'm all for. I am all for it. But you're getting all, like, you're now getting this. Look at the 5 that you're getting. You're getting internal RAW, but not having different compression levels to pick from, which I think they can incorporate on a software update or firmware update. You're then getting all-eye codec, which is as good as ProRes internally, right? You're then also getting H.265, which will give you the 10 bits at 200 and higher megabits per second. And if you wanted to be old school, you can still use your 8-bit H.264 codecs. Find a camera. The S1H doesn't even do that. No one is shooting movies with Canon cameras. Who told you that? Bro, have you not seen how many times... Bro, my guy that I shoot with works at Pro AV Camera Rentals. The C200, C300 Mark II, and the C500 gets rented out the most next to the Sony FS5, FS5 Mark II, and FS7. Bro, movies are getting shot on it. Fine, when it comes to movies, you're looking at the Airy range, right, and the Red Cinema cameras, but those cameras, Canon Cinema range, yeah, for the longest time, the reason why they protect them is for broadcast work and for movies, bro, they get used for days. If you're talking about hybrid bodies, no, of course, no one's using hybrid bodies to really record films, unless, you know, you're looking at this generation of Blackmagic cinema cameras, and also bodies that are coming in that are a lot smaller and more robust, like the S1H, yeah, you know, but those are newer bodies. This is why I'm saying that the 1DX Mark III, it's unfortunate that it's stuck in a DSLR dinosaur body, but this should get you, what they flex here should make you realize that actually their tech is way ahead of what Sony are doing. Go and look at videos of the FX9 versus the C500 Mark II. The C500 Mark II is getting a lot more love because a lot of people thought Sony were the ones that were going to bring the feature set. Sony's FX9 Mark II does not do internal RAW. The C500 Mark II does. And that is at 5.9K. Full frame, large format, with no crop. And if you're saying it's like it said the crop argument is ridiculous. It's not. The crop argument isn't. Bro, the crop argument isn't. It shows the crop argument is all showing the fact that there's a processor deficiency of not being able to use the whole width of the sensor to give you the focal length that you want. If you want a crop factor, yeah, it should be an option. you know. But if there isn't enough processing power, I said this to you before, when it crops, it's doing a 1-to-1 pixel readout because there just isn't enough processing power. All Canon have pretty much done is, where their processing power limits, they said, you know what we'll do is we'll disable dual pixel autofocus. And if you want to focus pull yourself manually, we can assist, but you know that you get the full capability of the camera. How is that not good value that you know your camera in all the shooting modes, yeah, will give you the exact look that you want? Possibly the only downside is that you might not get autofocus. Wrong. No one needs that. Who's no one? You're talking about a YouTuber don't need that. That's what you're talking about. To say no one needs it, it's the wrong argument. What you're saying is that you don't need it because you just make simple YouTube videos. You're a professional, but your clientele doesn't need that, right? To say no one needs to say no one needs class leading autofocus, right? To say no one needs the ability to potentially shoot in RAW, to have the option of not having different codecs that you can flex with, right? What if I've got the storage and I want to record an all-eye, because I know that it will save me having to transcode my footage, right? I can stick it straight into the NLE, right? If I've got the CF Express reader, I can plug it in, right? I'm in all-eye codec. I don't need to transcode it to ProRes, and I can record straight off because it's as good as an export to either ProRes or in H.265 or H.264 and deliver it. And it's in 10-bit as well. So if I'm doing broadcast work, how if your camera doesn't do that, how is that not good value to have that option? So to say no one needs it, right? If you're looking at it from the price, but if you're saying no one needs that feature set, it's a redundant argument. It's a redundant argument. That's time you're saving not having to transcode. That's time you're saving because you're getting the right look straight out of the camera. That's time you're saving because based on the touchscreen, you can just select your option, boom. It's the feature sets in here. It's not just giving people options, but look at the price of it now. The EOS R and the EOS R Mark II and the Pro will not need all the sports features that is making it £6,500. Take all of that away, you're looking at a body that potentially will cost £3,000 or less, and you're honestly telling me then it's still overkill at that price. When the GH5 came out, it was about £2,500 to buy into everything that you needed to use. Could you not make the argument that that's also overkill? I want to call you right now. Come through. Like, come through. But to make the argument that no one needs that, nah. I'm a hardcore, like my geek mate. Once a cameraman did not turn up to the wedding, he shot it on his iPhone 3, and it was the best ever. It was the best ever video and photos I've ever seen. Macro Harden. The possession of Hannah Grace was shot on an A7S II. Have to go. United are playing. Yeah. I need to go watch United play as well. That's my team. Alright, bro. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming through as always. Much love. Tally Ho Tech. Woo! Train in the house. I want to call right now, bro. If you want to call, man, just come through. Come through. But if you make the argument that no one needs it, what is then the case is that it's not giving room for pro level tech to trickle down into these bodies that make it much more efficient and makes it much more affordable. How I'm seeing it is that if you eliminate all the class leading pro shooting features off here and look at what the EOS R Mark II as well as the EOS Pro, whatever it's going to be called, is take about £3,000 off. Are you honestly telling me that then all these video features that are in here is complete overkill? No one needs it. I'll make the argument that the S1H is then completely overkill. I'll then also make the argument that for what you're doing, the GH5 is complete overkill. Why would you then need all those codecs and bit rates in there? Options are good. And once you start growing and understanding what the different situations give you, if you wanted to tap into H.265 and get 10-bit codec but manage your storage, boom, you've got the option. If storage is not a problem and you know you're in a shoot and you want to save time and get the churn of the edit out, pick all-eye codec. You know you don't need to transcode your footage. You put it straight into your editor. It edits smooth, and you know ProRes and all-eye codec edits smooth like butter, right? If you didn't mind, old school H.264 is there if you had compatibility issues on where you wanted to deliver to, where you wanted to edit to. You can, you know, record an 8-bit H.264, get going. And if you know you're in a B situation where you are not completely sure of how the lighting is going to be, you don't have as much control, it's not an extreme shoot, right? And you can get it done and have the flexibility, you've got RAW to tap into. That is also value from that perspective. Value comes from having those options. And in some bodies that you can use that don't have those options, how do you then get the flexibility to really showcase the work that you do as a creator? It's not just your clientele, but how do you then... That means, to be honest, if no one needs it, we should just limit everything to 1080p and call it a day. But it's speculation that the EOS... No, it's not speculation, bro. The 1DX Mark III is using a Digic 8 processor just in there, just to help with certain focusing modes, right? That processor alone by itself powers the EOS-R. And then look at the bit rates as well as the codec options that you get in the EOS-R. So imagine this generation Digic X coming out into that body. How is that not going to be speculated? Canon have already said in many interviews since this 1DX Mark III, people have asked them, what's happening with RF? Is that it's coming, just not yet. We're doing this because we know there's a clientele of people that have EF glass already, from EF to EFS, right? There's an event coming up known as the Olympics. We want to make sure that they have the best tool for it. And I think it was a smarter move than what Sony did with the A9 Mark II. And I love the A9 Mark II and what it stands for mirrorless. But this has come in and stolen the show. Unless Nikon come in with the D6 and the D6 is fire like this is the best camera that you're going to use for the Olympics. All this basically means is that the iteration and the derivatives of the Digic X processor trickling down into things like the EOS-R Mark II, the EOS-R Pro, as well as the mirrorless, APS-C bodies in the Canon lineup. Those cameras are going to be fire. If you think the Fuji X-T3 is a good look, right? What this Digic X is going to really be doing for the APS-C lineup of their mirrorless cameras for Canon is going to be next level stuff. Oh, I've got time. Come through. I've got time. Oh, this battery's dying out. Yeah, come through. Set up the Camlink. Or I'll most likely use Skype to get you on, because I can screen capture the Skype. All right, guys. Let me just bust a bit of music on while I wait for Sean to come through. Alright, so I'm gonna get a battery replacement for the light, because the light's dimming and I haven't changed it in a little while. I've just dropped a little bit of background music on there just to kill a bit of time. Let me just set up the Ninja so I can get Sean on here and screen capture Skype. I'll probably use Skype. The stream's not over. Let me just set up and replace the light so it's not still dim. Right. Alright, let me just load up Skype because my screen captures what's on Skype right now. Let me grab it now. My camera battery's exhausted still. No. Hold on. So Sean was ready. Let me just get on Skype. Did Skype delete or something? Oh man. Skype app, there we go. Oh, hold on, let me just hold up. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to load Skype quickly. Why is Skype not loading? Hold up. Ah, this is weird. I hate when this happens still.
Legit don't understand why Skype is not loading. Apologies about this. Apologies about this. I'm gonna get onto it. Let's just finish glitching out. I need to rebuild my desktop because sometimes the laptop is under too much strain. Alright, let me stop. I'm gonna stop the stream. I'm gonna stop streaming, but it's not gonna cut the stream, so don't go. Don't go. Dun, 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 dun. Right, so apologies for that, man. I managed to get Skype open and working. No. I've got Sean's handle. Let me try and add him now. Copy. Paste. Sean Brooks. Say hi. Add him. Should have sent a message now. Nice. Oh. Oh, I haven't given permission. Oh, gosh. Why has it not found any? Oh. What in the hell is going on with Skype now? Appearance. Advance. Messaging. Notification. Privacy and microphone. Oh, why is Skype being... Oh, Windows updates are killing. I just did that. Man. Oh, here we go. That's better. How's it saying it's too weak? Mate. Skype is the enemy in progress. Yo. That's better. I can't hear you though, bro. Why is it saying the signal's too weak? we're not gonna give up on this because I really want Sean's input, man. I really want Sean's input. So whoever's here, man, thanks for waiting it out. Thanks for being patient. Um, let's try Google Hangouts. Let's try Google Hangouts. Quit Skype because Skype is usually reliable for me. So I don't know what. Yeah, I think that's better. I think we
Can
are
you hear
good.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. Your full screen as well.
Problem is, like, every time I try to switch over to my Camlink, it like blacks out. So right now I'm on my webcam, which is just fucking
Oh,
trash.
change the frame, change the resolution to 1080p. Sometimes it does that if you're on 4K.
I did. Let me try. Hold on, let me double check.
Yeah.
I got it.
And take it off 60 frames a second as well, because sometimes it bugs out.
All right. So let me.
Yeah, probably unplug it, try it.
Yeah. Let me,
Because sometimes it just bugs out. All right, we got Sean, Mr. Sean Brooks Media LLC in the house. What's good? Finally.
hold on. Finally, I try to. Let's see.
Cool. I'm gonna need to put these in a bin. Put these oranges back. Say hi to my wife quickly before she ducks out again. And then we've got a bit of time today. This is kind of the reason why I wanted to even stream today at this time, because I knew I probably wouldn't get time tomorrow. Whoever the audiences are, thank you for being patient. Dario, thanks for joining as well. Hopefully we've still got people in here.
From last time I checked, we still had like 3. It's just really, yeah. Google Hangouts really pissed me off right now.
Alright, bro. Hold on. I'm just gonna take a pee quickly. Give me a minute.
Right, bro.
I'm still here.
All right. Here we go. Let's try that. Okay, so that's not working. Oh.
Whoo. Oh,
So, just to verify, Ben, you can't hear me, correct?
yeah, I can hear you. Like you're loud and clear. Everyone can hear you.
All right, so I might just have to run audio then because I can't. The camera is just not working.
Oh, you mean the Camlink?
Yeah, dude, the Camlink. Yeah, Google Hangouts is not playing nice with it today. I keep trying to,
When you
unplug it and then
when you
run
set
it back. It's just not working.
okay, but when you select the options under general in the settings, it doesn't show the Camlink,
Yeah.
or it shows it.
It shows it, but I'm just not getting a picture.
You're not in picture
That's
mode,
the
are
problem.
you?
No, so I am in the standard, movie mode on a
Yeah.
Panasonic, like that. That's usually what I run to make sure, what I'm saying, that it's gonna work properly. But
Yeah.
even right now, I don't know, my HD webcam is not even popping up. But I'm trying to think, like, do I got too much stuff running in the background? Like, no, I only got like a lot going on right now. For it to be behaving as such.
Yeah, it's
But,
weird. It's strange. It's so strange.
See, StreamYard kind of spoiled me. Now, granted, it's 720p, but it works flawlessly.
Nah, StreamYard's on point. I need to jump on that still. I need to jump on that still.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me test. Let me even test out that I'm getting a camera signal. So let me go to StreamYard real quick.
Yeah.
I'm just.
But it's weird because the webcam was working, then it just wasn't.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, then I was trying to get the webcam to come back, and now the webcam won't even come back. It's just like, well, damn.
Should we cut the Google Hangouts call for a moment and just try it again, and just as a last Hail Mary?
Yeah, we definitely do that, bro.
Cool. We'll cut the call now. Again, thank you all for your patience. I just wanna get Sean's perspective in and also plug his video as well. Alright. Okay. Yo. That is so strange. Live streams are so fun like this, boy.
There we go.
All right. Can you hear me?
Can hear you. I can see you. Butter crispy baby. Butter crispy baby. Let's talk. Let's chop it up as we do. So, whoever's in here, thank you for being patient. If you're not, it don't matter, because me and my boy, we need to chop it up a little bit, you know, before I duck out and go have lunch with the kids and probably come back. We might have to do a round 2 later on today or something, you know. I don't mind. Yeah. I'm all for it. I've got a bit of time today. We might have to do like a part 2, maybe jump on his channel or something. I don't know. But this is my bro, Sean.
Definitely need part 2. Like,
yeah, I still know him as Sean Be Nice.
That's right.
I will never let him leave that name. I like that name way too much.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I miss it, but it's just.
I know.
You get it.
I know.
You get it.
But I will hold on to it with dear life.
Yeah, as you can see, I haven't changed my Twitter name from that chat. You know, so my Twitter
name Sean Be Nice. It rolls, right? It's just, you know, sticky. So I'm gonna plug my boy's video because the comment section was fire between me, him, Fresh, Trenton. We were going back and forth. I like to play angel or devil's advocate, give or take. The reason why I get along with my brothers is that we have different perspectives, but we gel, you know. But at the end of the day, we're still like-minded, so that's why we can have these conversations, you know. And plug it in, put the link in the description, put the link in also the comment section. You dropped a very good video on the 1DX Mark III, and his perspective was on point and I agreed with, but I also wanted to chime in. And I used it as an opportunity because that was one of the things that was talked about at CES that was just completely bonkers and crazy. So, you know, I've dropped my perspective. You guys heard me going at it. He was doing that in the comments. So I'm going to give Sean the platform to say what he needs to say, and we'll go back and forth. Go.
All right. So what's going on, y'all? You know what I'm saying? It's been a while since I've been on a bench stream. Like,
It's been a minute.
So typically I usually have my GH5 as my Camlink, but Camlink wasn't playing nice today, so forgive the bad everything. But you know, I do want to say that. So again, thanks first of all, Ben, for having me.
Come on, man.
I got my Canon channel and all that. But so you know, the consistent argument that I think me and Ben always kind of like go back and forth on is the fact that I feel that, you know, cameras right now, the camera world is just really based off specs. You know, it kind of is just, and they know that. Like, they know that. So if they sit there and throw a lot of specs at you, a good fraction of people when they buy a camera don't know what those specs even do. So my argument is that you know, when you start talking about the Canon camera, the cinema cameras, I wasn't talking about the cinema cameras directly. I was mainly talking about like their mirrorless bodies and how you were saying that the A7S III probably was not going to compete with the Canon 1DX, but right now I guarantee you, and I bet you any amount of money, number one, the A7S III is going to sell a lot more than the Canon 1DX Mark III, hands down. There's no debate on that. Number two, as far as what Sony's doing, to me, they're perfecting like what the industry standard is still right now. So I know you have the argument that the Canon 1DX can do a 5.5K RAW. Yeah, that's fine. But what TV is going to see that? Now, granted, it's going to be downscaled, it's still going to be good. But for your workflow, the Canon, even with the CF Express cards, you know, because the same argument you're saying that the CF Express cards are like, you know, cutting edge tech. This is the way that we need to move to anyway to, you know what I'm saying, to get higher and better video quality. But as of right now, just like the headphone jack, it still serves a purpose. So to me, it was very smart how Panasonic did it, where they still had 2 SD cards. And, you know, with the SD card, you can still, you know, depending on what write speed you get, you can get an SD card with a write speed up to 400 megabits per second that can handle all eye. So all eye is still really good. It's very efficient, as you said. But CF Express cards, though, now you got to get your new reader, and you're going to have to get so much storage. The Canon 1DX is just not, it's not an ideal, it's not, the Canon 1DX is just, to me, it's for a very specific market versus something like the A7S III when that comes out.
anybody for the most part can pick that camera up and get the work. With the Canon 1D, it's not going to be the same. You can pop in your SD card in the A7S III and literally go film, and your workflow would not be so dynamically changed where it's going to really interrupt your whole creative process. So for anybody right now, the Canon 1DX is like, it's just, to me, it was just a spec camera. Let's throw all the specs we can to this camera to let people know, like, this is what we can do. And if you want the options to have that, it is here, but only with Canon. I respect it and I get it because it was a real chess move. But to say that, you know, the A7S III is not going to be in the same level, well, one, I would hope not. Well, in the sense of that, the Canon is double the price of what the A7S III is going to be. But from a functionality and a practicality use, the A7S III, to me, is going to just be an overall better camera to work with than the Canon, hands down. And even with the autofocus, to me, right now, I know people always talk about dual pixel autofocus, but Sony's autofocus,
Oh, it's class
is
leading.
good.
Yeah, no. It's good. Good is an understatement, bro. Like,
You know what I mean?
okay, so this is where I'm gonna chime in and I will agree with you. That's one of the things I said, that it's just unfortunate that it's stuck in a dinosaur body. You see, the problem with the 1DX is that it's stuck in an old school dinosaur body. Those bodies only serve one purpose because there's no moving parts in there. Like, there's no
Right.
flip screen. It's built in a way where, because it's a dinosaur, it can be a tank for class leading weather sealing, class leading temperature. So it serves still for the photo journalist that needs that, right? That's why I was saying that if you compare it to usability, the S1H has the best usability body on the market right now. Although it's a bit large in terms of usability, the full HDMI ports, the XLR1 adapter that you can put at the top, the headphone monitoring, the screen, like, in terms of bar the size, if you gave someone that kind of body in a slightly smaller form, wow, that's usability king, right? So I agree with that. What I'm more trying to drive away is that the tech showcases not just the tech advancements, but the ease of use access and the capabilities that they have for the EOS R Mark II and the Pro. Now, the A7S III will sell more. The reason why it will sell more is that because Sony are in their third and ideally their fourth generation of their mirrorless bodies. You see, so they've near enough refined it and perfected it to the point where Canon are not there yet. That EOS R Mark II or Pro, I don't see it coming out until 2021. Seriously, I don't. And by then, if Sony drop the A7 IV body, which they will this year, and the A7S III this year, right? Because remember the E-mount lens cohesion. Like I was saying, the problem Canon have is they have an EF mount, they have an RF mount, and they have an EFM mount for the APS-C lineup. That's not cohesive. You're asking someone to invest in 3 different type of glass with different confusion of adapters. That's going to fragmentate it. That I don't like. Whereas the E mount all the way up to, right, the Venice all the way up to the FX9, I can use the same lens on all of them.
But let's look at it from this perspective. Now, you know, let's say the EOS R Pro comes out next year, as you stated, and it's like killing the game, right? It's like it's doing all these amazing things. It's pretty much taking like a lot of the video codecs from the Canon 1DX and just putting it down to a smaller body size. But around 2021, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. There's still cameras out now that I feel that will compete with that directly. Like for me, if in 2021, if the S1H dropped to about 25 to 3,000, I would still buy that over a new EOS R camera.
What if, okay, then that's the case, an argument I'm gonna make. The only main thing that the S1H is gonna have over that body, based on what this Digic X processor has been showcased, is gonna be class leading in-body image stabilization. Because, bro, think about this, yeah, £6,500, right? You're paying for the best-in-class photo high frame rate photography camera. 1. You're paying for a robust body. 2. You're paying for the photo aspect of it, right? Now let's just say EOS R Mark II doesn't have all of that. Forget all of that. Bro, that's an easy $2,000 off. Easy. Guaranteed. Do you know why I'm saying that? Look at the S1H. The S1H does not have anywhere near the buffer capability, the media storage, and the speed that the 1DX have. That's why it's a $4,000 body compared to $6,500. So for me, this is where the narrative might change. I reckon Canon being Canon and how they've been a bit smarter in terms of actually listening, right? If they don't pump the same video features, photo features like the A9 Mark II or the 1DX, bro, that potential body could be about $3,000 from the jump. That changes the narrative.
But you still have CF Express cards, which are not ideal yet. CF Express card, they're just not. The readers are expensive right now, and the actual cards, it doesn't make sense right now where we are with technology and affordability. Think about it right now, bro. We just need a few more years for Express cards to kind of hit where it needs to be. Because right now, if you look at 4K content or even movies, hell, we've talked about this. A lot of movies are not even shot in 4K.
It's true.
So
it's true.
this whole 5.5K raw and everything, like, it sounds good on paper. You know what I mean? But the bandwidth and the storage options alone, it doesn't mesh well with our current technology lineup. It just doesn't. You know what I mean? Most people, hell, most of our consumers now watch a lot of media on their phones. None of our phones, besides a Sony phone, which nobody really buys like that, has a 4K screen. So, we're sitting here trying to push the bounds and creativity, these cameras, and it can do so much, but the things that we actually consume this media on can't even give you the proper display of what you're shooting.
True.
So, that art, to me, it's just like, it's a spec thing. Just like, remember back in the day when Android and Apple used to go at it, like, oh yeah, I can do this on my phone. I can slide my hand across my screen on my Samsung phone and take this picture. I can do this on my phone. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but how often are you using it?
No, it's true. The content delivery aspect of things is something that is taking longer than expected. Where my argument is now is that just like what Fuji did with the X-T3, right?
Okay.
The biggest limiting factor, and it's something that you've even mentioned, the problem with Sony is that internally, it's a plus and a bonus that you don't get that many options to flex with, right? And it's not about options to flex with for a better look, but for a better workflow. Like I gave an example. With All-I, it's as good as ProRes. That means when you chop it, when you record with it, right, you don't need to transcode. When you slap it in the NLE and you're editing with it, it's smooth as butter, right? You don't need to transcode. If you are on a storage premium, you can have the option of H.265 because either at the same bit rate, I'm using half the storage, or I can use double the bit rate for the same storage, right? That's what it tells me. You see, so I've got that option. Now, H.264 is good for compatibility because across the board on all flat platforms, you support that, right? H.265 still has compatibility issues, so you might not necessarily get that, right?
Hell, you can even post H.265 file on something as simple as Instagram.
That's what I'm saying. So in your mind, you know that, okay, from the jump, I've got options based on what I need to do. And then the final unlock is that the fact that I've got a raw capability, it doesn't mean I need to tap into all the time. It's just if I know I can access that. And it's the same as this, right? If you learn how to drive a manual gearbox or a stick shift, as you call it, right? You know that you can drive an automatic. But if you only ever learn how to drive automatic, you can't tap into a manual gearbox. You don't have that skill set. It's the same as having autofocus. It's not about using autofocus all the time. It's about knowing that I have that skill set and I've got that tool that I can use to tap. The argument I make now is that, unfortunately, because Canon has thrown all of that in, that's what's causing a price premium. You see? So it's a scale of, actually, look at what it's doing. It's doing everything, right? Do you need it to do everything? No. 100% no. That one I agree with. But you have to appreciate the fact that they've shown that they don't have that much of a technical limit as people thought they did. You see? And that's where I'm excited for that Digix X platform, when they have derivatives of it that scale down from the pro mirrorless sports bodies like the A9 Mark II to the consumer pro version like the EOS R Mark II or Pro to the A7 III or A7 IV version that matches up to the APS-C, the derivatives of those processors in those bodies, bro, are going to be crazy to the point where they're going to be more accessible in price. It's going to give people more options to be able to do different things in different situations, to be able to get the shot. Forget the look. The look is a bonus, right? But for you to get the shot that's going to give you more abilities in situations to do things, I think that's a bonus, man.
So right now, for you, the Canon is a great camera, but it's from the sounds of it, sound like you're saying the Canon 1DX Mark III really just have you more so excited for what the EOS R lineup is going to bring next year.
I'm talking about the whole platform, because look at what Sony have done. Their new processor in the A9 and A9 Mark II, they've taken derivatives of that and scaled it all the way down to the A6100. You see, and what they've used to scale down as a derivative has been the autofocus performance. Have you seen how they've scaled it up? You've got face tracking, you've got real-time IAF. They've just taken derivatives of that processor and they've made the whole lineup fire when it comes to autofocus. And that's it's a road mapping thing. Where I'm excited is I didn't think Canon had this level of tech. I genuinely didn't. I thought, bro, your tech is, from what Fuji and everyone else is doing, your tech is kind of behind. And then they just come out the gate to be like, nah, our tech is heat. Look at the ease of, think about it from an ease of use perspective. Imagine being in a situation where you don't have to think about how your camera changes in terms of look because of crop and also options, because it's that powerful. But yet you have a camera that when you change a mode, something changes and you're like, whoa, that's not what I want it to do. And this is the problem Canon was having. Do you get it? They were so nerfed that it's like, depending on what mode you switched in, you lost so many features. You're thinking, well, I'm not getting my money's worth if I'm just going to change a basic thing and I can't use this feature. What they've shown is that, no, we've got the tech where in the future, no matter what you decide to select, you're not going to lose any features. And that's going to help with ease of use, so that even the normal consumer that doesn't understand maybe is in a situation where they're learning with something that isn't limited in technology, where the ease of use is even better.
So, I really want to talk to you about the crop argument. Now, I know we're gonna have this. We're gonna revisit this at some point. I just know we are. But yes, I get what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, having a crop is not, a feature that's not something that nobody should want. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you should want a crop sensor, but to me, it just doesn't impact my workflow. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. And I've used full frame, I've used the APS-C, and then obviously, I use Micro Four Thirds. But the way, you know what I'm saying, and I'm not saying everybody got this, but I just felt like if you know how to line up a shot, you know how to line up a shot. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what crop I have, I'm going to get the shot that I want. It doesn't matter what sensor I have. Hell, I can get, and I'm about to start doing this on my channel now, I can still get good shots with a phone sensor, which, you know what I'm saying, which people always have the argument that phones is just this and that. So, you know what I'm saying, and the sensors are even way smaller than, you know what I mean? But I feel like the crop argument is only pertained to when it comes to mirrorless camera bodies, and it's not scaled though. That's my issue with it, because people have the argument that phones are just really, really good. The iPhone does this, the Galaxy does this, but essentially it is a crop sensor though. So for me, you know what I'm saying, the crop sensor argument as a whole, that's really, to me, that's more of a user problem if a crop sensor can hinder your creativity that much. You know what I mean? I feel like the crop sensor thing is just like, it's kind of like one of those things. It's kind of like iPhone, well, not iPhone Bengate, but one of those things. One of those arguments is like, well, hey, it does this. It's like, yeah, I get it, but from a practicality standpoint, it's still usable. So I've never, you know what I mean? It's just even with the argument between Micro Four Thirds. Now, granted, I'm on a 12 to 35. I know that's an equivalent of 24 to 70. I know my camera. I know how to shoot what I want for my camera. If I know that I want this particular, if I'm shooting here, if I'm just shooting this, and I'm trying to get like a rotating shot or whatever the case is, either I could punch in, come out, whatever case is, I'm shooting in 4K. So if I need to scale in and get a little bit closer, I could do that. You see what I'm saying? Like a crop should not be such a hindrance where it's just like, this is just, I can't do it. I need a full frame camera. That's, to me, that's BS. That's BS.
So I'm gonna chime in on this. I 100% agree. No ifs or buts. Let me chime it from this angle. It's not the crop sensor that's the problem. It's what manufacturers are smart. For each sensor size from 1 inch, micro four thirds, APS-C to full frame, they've built lenses to negate or match up to that sensor's capabilities, right? Right? Micro four thirds, you're gonna find lenses that have 7 to 14 millimeters, right? That means the equivalent of,
14 to 28,
right? Which there are equivalences of that up. It's not that. Where I'm saying the crop is a bad thing, it's not the sensor. Is if, let's just say you have a micro four thirds already, right? But yet the camera's not powerful enough to handle any shooting mode that you select, and then it crops in even more. That's bad. It's not that it's a crop sensor. It's you're not powerful enough to keep the same look in any of the shooting modes for whether it's a full frame, APS-C, or micro four thirds. That's a limitation in technology internally. So, for example, the GH5S, great camera. The only mode that it crops in is 1080p 240 frames a second. But that's understandable because, bro, 1080p 240 frames a second, the sensor readout needs to be next level fast, and you need some ridiculous internal processor and heat management to deal with that. So to help with that, it crops in a little bit to make it less stressful, And the crop is not so much where it's like, oh, it changes the look and the field of view for you to do anything, right? It's not like a 1.7 or 1.8 times crop like you get on an EOS R, where it completely changes the look, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's not the sensor size, right? I'm talking about within the system that you have, right? Is the system powerful enough where no matter what shooting mode you pick, are you still going to get the same look that you want? Will it crop in additionally, like the Sony, right? The Sony's not 100% perfect. When you go into 4K 30 frames a second, it crops in by 1.2 times.
On the A7 III lineup or the 6600, right?
6600, A7 III, if you go to 4K 30 frames a second, it crops in 1.2 times. You see, when you're in 4K 24 frames, it gives the full sensor readout, whether it's APS-C or full frame. That's...
Got you.
You see?
Here's my question. I don't know any, and this, what I mean, this just being honest. Even in the UK, because I know in the UK it's 25 frames per second.
Yeah, pal.
I don't really know anybody who shoots 30 frames per second. So that, to me, that argument out the window.
No. It's not about that. But then the thing is, it's the same argument with the XT3. The XT3 has that same problem. 24 frames is full APS-C sensor readout, right? 30 frames a second, it crops in 1.2 times. And then when you go to 4K 60, right, which a lot of people shoot 4K 60 because there's a good in-between point of high resolution as well as the option to slow it down, it crops in at 1.5 times. You already have an APS-C sensor, right? And then you're adding an extra 1.5 times crop just to shoot 4K 60 frames a second. It's still impressive, don't get me wrong.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
It's still impressive, but that is an internal processor and technology limitation.
That's the valid argument.
Yeah. That's the problem, not the sensor size. The whole sensor size thing and crop factor is just dumb. It is. The only thing that you might get with a bigger sensor that you don't have to worry about crop factor is your actual aperture reading. You get a true aperture, right? That's probably the only reason why you can make an argument of, I want to actually have a true aperture and not an equivalent, because that's one thing that you can't fight, right? So, for example, if you have an f1.7 aperture on a crop sensor micro four thirds, you have to times it by 2. And that's something that you can't negate. Focal length is fine, right? But in terms of actual aperture, you can't. That's why speed boosters come into play, because speed boosters help you to negate the aperture look, right? But those actual native lenses can't negate the actual aperture look that you would get when you go up to a full frame, right? That's
Okay.
the only argument you can make. But in terms of focal length and look, like what you're saying, if you can line up a shot, you can line up a shot. That crop sensor should not be an issue. Not even like that argument is null and void. I have a problem more with internal technology that limits the system that you're on, whether it's full frame APS-C or micro four thirds, that adds an additional crop on certain shooting modes that you shoot. That's what makes me more impressed
Okay.
about the Digic X. Because,
Okay.
bro, check the white paper on the 1DX Mark III. There is no crop in any of the mode. Forget dual pixel autofocus. There is no crop in any of the modes that you select. None.
It's impressive. I will give you that. Okay.
People are forgetting that side of the technology that they've been able to pull off. Even Panasonic, right, at 4K 60 frames a second, has to crop a full frame sensor into 1.5x at APS-C to be able to achieve 4K 60 frames a second. And the S1H doesn't have any autofocus in any modes. So in a sense, Canon has just come and said, hold my beer. We're going to show you that we can do Ultra HD, 4K 60 frames a second, full frame sensor readout. We can also do DCI, 17:9 at 4K 60 frames a second, full frame. And you know, what we're going to show you is that our technology is so advanced, we can also do 5.5K RAW at 60 frames a second in 12-bit, full frame sensor readout with no crop. How about that?
But with all of that, and you're making valid arguments, I'm not gonna disagree with none of what you just said. But with all of that comes storage.
No, true.
You know what I mean? So for me,
yeah, go on.
I would rather take a crop if it's going to get me, you know, from a practicality standpoint, if it's going to be easier for me to use. Like all this, you know what I'm saying? Again, this kind of camera, I'm not gonna like this. This is like a Goliath, like king of all cameras type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what Canon was doing here, and the Canon 1DX Mark II, for the most part, you gotta think about it. Besides the GH5, you know, before 2019, there were no other cameras that even shot 4K 60. So the only cameras you had in 2019, up until 2019, was the XT3, the GH5, and the Canon 1DX Mark II. Those are only cameras that shot 4K 60. Well, obviously a GH5 best, but so you know, so like now, if full frame, like for example, if I got the Panasonic S1H and it came with a crop on 4K 60, I'm okay. You know what I mean? Now, granted, the Canon 1DX is, you know, it's no crop at all, but I can still use SD cards in this camera. On this camera, I can't. So the problem is, like, for me, it's like Canon pushed a lot of features that a lot of cameras can't do, but it came with a price. That to me is not worth the price of admission.
And I agree.
It's just not.
Let's just say this, bro. What they've then showcased is that, again, I'm back to the tech and what the derivative of that tech is going to be used in the future, trickling down, right? What they've now shown is that it's not just about the crop, but it's the fact that it can do 5 different codecs, bro. So 4 different codecs: RAW, All-I, H.265, and H.264. Now, what if they decide that, you know what, CF Express is going to be pro level, but let's just say for the prosumer level, we'll use dual UHS-II, and we can go all the way up to, right, All-I codec, because that's what happens with the EOS R. It does All-I up to 480 megabits per second internal, right? But you're getting all the capabilities of not just All-I. All right, they're not, unless they introduce, let's just say, Cinema Raw Light, because Cinema Raw Light is almost as efficient as Blackmagic Raw or ProRes Raw, right? Maybe they bring Cinema Raw Light, which I don't think they'll do because they want to protect the cinema line, right? Because this particular raw codec that they're using, it's not flexible in the sense that you can't pick different compression ratios to help with storage management, right? You can't pick 12:1, 6:1, 3:1, or no compression, right? It's literally uncompressed, which sounds good, but compression levels with raw help with managing storage, like what you're saying, right? So unless they bring cinema raw light, forget that. But in their mind, it's like, actually, we'll give you all light if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also give you H.265, which gives you the flexibility of half the storage at the same bit rate, or 70% less storage at double the bit rate, right? Giving you more quality, but actually, storage-wise, it's very, very friendly. That's what Panasonic does with the S1H, right? They use H.265, and the file sizes are actually a lot less when you're shooting with that, even in 6K, compared to normal 4K using H.264, which is impressive, right? But you're getting all the features of no matter what shooting mode, whether you're shooting log, frame rate, no matter what, you're not getting any crop at all. And in fact, in more of the shooting modes, you're gonna have the option to use autofocus. That to me sounds like a much better appeal if they say CF Express is for the pro bodies, right? But if we're still gonna give people accessibility of UHS-II, hoping the SD card alliance sit down and actually bring a better spec for UHS-III to make it much more robust. That's my argument. My argument now is that they've just deaded SD. SD's not had a spec upgrade like how USB 3 has had a spec upgrade with Thunderbolt, with XQD. XQD is the progression of CFast. CF Express is the progression of CFast, right? You're moving into NVMe PCI Express territory. That's my argument, you see. So they need to go back and make the SD, because I love the SD form factor, bro. The SD form factor is on point. It's such a good happy medium. Micro SD is way too small. XQD, CFast, CF Express, they're a bit bigger. Not ridiculously big, but they're a bit bigger, right? We have a 5D Mark IV at church. So CFast cards are something that we use. I've got a CFast card reader in my bag, and it's not redonkulously big, right? It's not SD, it's not SSD big, but it's bigger, right? You wouldn't find an XQD CFast or CF Express slot on a laptop. It just wouldn't happen. So the SD card form factor is on point. I love that, but that tech is now getting limited. They need to respec it. You see. So
that's true. I won't argue that.
I'm more selling to, what if you got an EOS R Mark II that had dual UHS-II slots, but with all the codecs bar raw? I think that's a better argument in terms of competing with what the A7S III is meant to do. You see, and if you take away all the 1DX pro body features for photos and all those stuff, bro, if they bring that out even from the jump at $3,000 body only, that's gonna cause problems for Sony, big problems. Already on top of the thing that people always drive home about Canon colors being better, C-Log being easier to grade, which is a fact. S-Log is a pain to grade compared to C-Log, right?
Right.
And then they've already announced that they will have in-body image stabilization in there. Now, Canon went from being the one that got slumped all the time to actually showcasing that. Now, we had tech. We just wanted you guys to chill for a minute while we showcased it on a dinosaur known as that 1DX to get you guys excited about what's going to happen in the pro-level sports body mirrorless ones, to the prosumer ones, to the consumer ones, to the accessible APS-C line. And that derivative of the Digic X processor, bro, I think people need to be excited about that. What that's going to do is that's going to make companies like Sony, Fuji, and Nikon put money into research and development to make stuff like that better. What does that do? Better pricing. Better pricing means that it makes more sense for normal people to buy these cameras because they're going to be equally as powerful, equally as easy to use, meaning no matter what shooting mode that you use, the camera's not going to funk out and do stuff. It's not going to disable this. It's not going to stop this. It's not going to cut your favorite feature that you figured out. It's going to give you everything that you want. That's my argument.
So, all right, I can sleep with that. I can go with that because from the sounds of it, it's more so like this right now. This camera has done much more, and it's much more than this. Canon has done much more than it's created like a dope camera. What it has done now has kind of put the fire under other manufacturers to do more and invest more in the R&D, in which return give us more better cameras and also even more affordable cameras.
Even more affordable cameras, and even cameras that are equally as powerful but easier to use. Imagine, bro, running someone through a tutorial of a camera that no matter what I tell them, it's just not going to disable any features. Whether I plug a monitor in, it's not going to cut the screen off, or it's not going to disable phase detection. Or it's just going to work. I just need it to work because it's capable of doing it. You know, you're not later going to be like, oh, when I did this stopped working. What do I do now? Well, you can't.
Right.
It's just not capable of doing it. Well, then I can't get the look, or I can't use it the way I want to use it based on how I like, so it cuts my flow. Then I have to do workarounds that take more time, or will not give me the ability to get a particular look that maybe a client says I want. Do you see it? So it's a push forward. And where it's got me excited is, as someone that's a prolific Sony user, it's made me wake up and think, rah, Canon's got tech. They've got tech. No,
as a Panasonic user has that same thing. I will give you that. I will give you that.
We've always known Panasonic to have tech, right? We know it.
Yeah.
And we know Sony has tech. But we never looked at Canon to be like, they've got tech. You always rip them
That's
for
true.
You're ripping people off. You're holding back. You're just not doing it. And they went from, oh yeah, to now like, nah, we're not just doing it. We're like kind of ahead where, what are your boys saying? So, and that's why I've been putting the tweets out like, now Sony are sweating. Because I know if I was Sony and I saw that, unless I knew I was bringing out some serious heat, I'll be sweating too.
Okay, Ben. I'll give you the first round. I give you the W for the first round. You made a very compelling argument. I don't really.
I agree with
you.
I agree with what you're saying.
That's a very valid point.
But what I want to shed is not to get the 1DX, but look at the tech carefully and be excited for their pro-level mirrorless, like the A9 Mark II equivalent, right? Their high-resolution equivalent, which is the A7R Mark IV, right? Their A7 IV equivalent, which is the EOS Mark II, ESR Mark II, and the APS-C lineup against the 6000 series. That derivative of what these new generation processors are bringing, boy, if I was Sony, if I was Fuji, if I was Panasonic, I'll be worried because they've got autofocus as well.
That's fair. That's fair. That especially Panasonic. I need phase detection at some point. I keep dude. I've even thought about. I was talking to my boy about this. I got a big job coming up. So I'm like, man, I'm thinking about just buying a Sony A7 III just to have in my arsenal. You know what I mean?
From when cinema line cameras like the C500 Mark II, which is officially currently my favorite video camera. If I was,
I won't argue that. Yeah, man, it's that camera.
From when cameras like that are not just large format full frame sensors, but are doing class leading dual pixel autofocus, and even if you look at the Sony FX9, is doing autofocus as well. Having the option of class leading autofocus is not just the future, it's the present. And if your camera does not have that option, you're living in the Stone Ages. Period.
Yeah.
You need to give your users the option to tap into it when they need it. Does it mean they're going to use it all the time? No. But I'll give an example. The C500 Mark II, the autofocus features are so good that when you put cinema lens PL lenses on there, it will give you autofocus assist features that make manual focusing so much easier. They're not autofocusing lenses, but you're getting all the autofocus features and assist features that will make you look like a pro level focus puller. Why is that not a benefit?
Yeah, that's hard. I can tell you right now, when I get a huge budget, that's the camera I'm shooting with. Because especially even depending on even when it like that happens. Because the thing is, for me, I'm not opposed to buying a last year camera, or maybe even a 2-year camera if the tech is still there. You know what I mean? Because some can even argue that the GH5 still has a footprint even in 2020.
Oh, fam. The GH5
you see what I'm saying?
Was GH5 is still way ahead of its time. It's mad.
Yeah, I agree. I think the GH5 was definitely ahead of its time because it can still bang. Fam. You know what I'm saying, with some big boys. It can still bang with some big boys.
Bro, I always say this: the fact that variable frame rate, when my boy showed me, I still lose my head over it. I'm talking about individually being able to pick between each frame, like explaining that even gets me excited. I'm like, Why does no one else have that? Can you just
Right.
just
I didn't. You know what's funny is that I thought that was like a standard. You know what I mean? I didn't know. I just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Because the Panasonic GH5 was my first premium body purchase, because the camera before that I had was a Canon SL2. So when I bought the GH5, I just assumed a lot of these cameras had these. You know what I'm saying? These features. You know what I mean? Because everybody, it was between the GH5 and the A7 III. And I'm still happy that I chose the GH5, especially now, even knowing that, Sony doesn't have the capability of doing something like that. It's like, oh, okay. So, I guess the argument will always be true then. There would just never be a perfect camera.
It's true. And the thing is, where I'm even liking what Canon are doing right now is that I saw someone did an unboxing. I think it was Potato Jet. Bro, do you know what amazed me about the C500 Mark II? It still has that ease of use.
Yes, I just watched Potato Jet video on that too. I like the button placement, because the thing is, for me, the reason I be kind of like scared of something, I'm like, man, them cinema cameras are hard to use. But the Canon that C500 Mark II, it has everything in place, so you don't have to like figure it out.
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying? Like the ND filters are built. It's a button right there. Boom, you hit. You need it. You don't need it.
Battery.
I'm like, man,
it's like, for how powerful it is for them to. It's like that Apple approach, right?
Yeah.
It's like the ease of use is so idiot proof, where it's like pretty much anyone can pick up and use it. But yet, when you tap into it, the feature set is nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But if you
and it has the SD card in there as well. Let's go ahead and add that in there.
It's still got SD. It's still got something as basic as a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, so you can still use your basic audio inputs, but you've got XLR. Like, it's like if you could just give it to someone to pick up and use, good. You see, and that's where I'm excited at. If Canon are listening and they're doing that, and they've trickled that down, boy, we should be excited for the next 2 years of Canon, because they will cause problems to the point where it's a good thing. It's gonna make prices drop dramatically quicker. Why do you think the EOS R after 18 months is getting so much love now? Because they didn't compete well from the get-go, and money talks. So they said, "Now we gotta drop prices. We gotta chuck in all the adapters, all the NDs." Now it starts to look like it's good value. Really? No, not really. The camera's still really not what it should be.
It's definitely really not. It's definitely not. I would not buy that EOS R.
But you,
I will buy. See, the thing, here's a problem. Even at the price point where the EOS R is now, the A7 III is still a better camera.
Yep, I agree, 100%. Because the A7 III got it correct from the jump.
Yeah.
And Canon didn't. Canon didn't, and because they didn't, they have to make the price of it look good to entice people, because they know that price is a big forgiveness factor. If you can make something well priced enough, even if it's a deadbeat product, more people will forgive it.
Prime example of this: if the S1H dropped down to, again, like 3,000 or hell even 25,
fam,
you're gonna forgive the autofocus, hands down.
You will forgive it, even though it's still not a good excuse at that level.
It's not.
But you'll forgive it.
It's not.
Do you see it?
But you would be like, that's okay. Because I know for me, like, even with the GH5, I compensate for my camera a lot, but it's just like, even
deep down, it should be there.
It should be there.
It should be
I know.
there. But for the price, for what it got so right from the jump, and then the price it is now, you'll be like, yeah, okay, I'll forgive it. But deep down, I want it there, because it should be there. Right. It should be.
That's true. True.
From when Nikon were always based on contrast detect autofocus, are now doing. I mean, the Nikon Z6 and Z7, it's a first generation face detection autofocus system. It's nowhere near as good. Everyone knows this, but it's
better than contrast based.
It's way better than contrast, right? It's a starting point for them to learn. Now we need to learn how to crack this, because, mate, it's not that easy just to make good autofocus. That takes some next level R&D, right? But you start, you build, right? Will you ever catch up to the competition? Maybe not, but it will get to the point where people are like, nah, it's good enough.
It's good enough.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I may not need
That-
it to be as blistering fast and stuff, but at least I have it. Do you have it? No.
You know, and that's funny. And to be real, bro, to be 100% honest, even with this from a price standpoint, because I think when the GH5 first came out, it was only like 2 bands. You know what I'm saying? That's this body only. I would, if the GH6 came out and gave me GH5S low light, and just a twinkle of a try of some type of improved autofocus,
Yep.
I would get another Micro Four Thirds body.
I'm with you.
Hands down.
Bro, I would probably switch to Micro Four Thirds myself. I'm being serious. And it sounds trippy. I would switch because, bro, the video capabilities in the GH5 and the GH5S is still so ahead of its time. I genuinely don't need them to add anything more to it. I'm being serious.
That's where I'm at.
I don't-
That's why, because even with stills, even with you've seen my video,
even
like
with
even with
stills,
stills,
yeah.
it still can bang.
Fam, it bangs.
It still can bang.
Bro, I would switch to that. I'm being serious. If Panasonic took all the video capabilities of the GH5S, right? And I'm talking about that's still the only camera that does internal 1080p, 240 frames a second at some ridiculous.
Exactly.
I'm talking about at some
Exactly.
ridiculously clean bitrate, right? Take out the crop, basically in the sense that that's the only crop mode in that camera. That's the only crop mode. And it's a very small crop, so it's not a big deal anyway. But take it away for the fun of like, oh, we've got the tech, it doesn't need to crop anymore, right?
Right.
Maybe give me 4K at 75 frames a second or even 90 frames a second. Maybe.
I don't even need 90, to be honest.
Tops
I would
90.
love 120. I would love 120. But 90, I can bang with.
Work with. Exactly. 75 or 90, I can bang with no crop as well. And you gave me some form of face detection autofocus, that's it. Game over. I'll be like, Sony, why? Because I know that I can work with that. Meaning that no matter what shooting mode I pick, I get no crop. Meaning that if I want better aperture or better depth of field, speed booster it. But if I don't care about that and the aperture in terms of bokeh looks good to me, right? Then that's enough. I'll bang with it. I'm like, yeah, that's enough bokeh for me. That's enough look for me. I don't need a speed booster. Done.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if the 2035, like at the f2.8, it gives me enough. Like I know in today's generation, today's society, bokeh is really, really important for some reason. Like it's hell. Even if you look at the new 20 Northrop video, he was shooting on a Canon 50mm f1.2. It's just like, bro,
that was just too. I'm glad Camera Conspiracies hotted him up for it.
I love Camera Conspiracies channel.
I'm so glad he hotted him up for it.
Yeah, because it was just like, bro, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, what you're like, come on, man, just stop.
No, I agree.
You know,
I'm glad. And
stop.
it's a shame because the actual point of the video was good. He was making a good point. And it's the same point that you made about where we're delivering to and how it's being consumed. It's not being utilized. Oh, man, my camera just cut out. My battery just deaded. No, my battery just deaded. Let's calm. You know, where oh no, it's back. Please tell me we're back. Oh, battery's exhausted. Damn. That's a good sign to cut things anyway. But basically, to put it down, like what you said was exactly true, right? And it made the exact point. Let me get my dummy battery quickly, then we can wrap this up in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
It made the exact point, like what you said, right? But how he delivered it with the over exaggeration with bokeh really didn't help. That it's unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary, and I agree with that. You know, I agree with that in that extreme. And this is why I'm saying that particular wish list that you said for the GH6, that would be enough for me to get Micro Four Thirds. Like straight up.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the.
I got a video working on that, my GH6 wish list. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you know, because I know people be sitting here wanting like these cameras to do so much, but you know, I think the thing is, man, is that people like you and I think we just think a little bit more in realistic terms on what to expect from camera. You know what I mean? Yeah. So my wish list is very achievable. I don't need my camera to do, you know, 4K 240 frames per second, to have the best auto. Like, I just need a camera that I can work with. You know what I'm saying? In which, And to be honest, right now, even with these new cameras coming out, it's hard for me to leave the GH5, especially paired with the Weebill S. I'm gonna tell you right now, the Weebill S, I feel like was built for the GH5.
Yeah, Weebill S is fine.
I know that sounds crazy, but if you are a GH5 user, just like you and I talked about, the autofocus is not that good, but you can control the focus through the gimbal.
There you go. You said it right there.
You like, I can hit a button on my Weebill S to grab focus instantly.
That's it.
So it's like, you know what I mean, man? It's the camera conversation. It's the more professional, the more advanced, and more I put into my craft when it comes to cameras, the more I see it's not about the camera, which is that's essentially what I've been learning over my years of doing this. Well, at least even my first year of doing it professional, it's not about the camera; it's about you.
It's true. I've got to agree with that wholeheartedly. I think we're back on. Tell me we're back on.
Because even with your videos now, like, I've never looked at your video, Ben, and be like, I said he needs a full frame camera. That bokeh is just not good enough on that 6600.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And even, bro, you'd be surprised that I don't open it all the way up to 1.4. I don't always. I'm usually
and even if you
between
did,
2.2
hell,
and 2.8.
If you look at 1080T's video, the 16mm he got on his 6600 looks good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a crop sensor and all that, but it looks. If you know what you're doing with the camera, man, it's gonna look good. Period.
I agree. And I'm
you see what I'm saying?
serious. Drop that GH6 wish list. If Panasonic can do that, give me no cropping any, because it's on a Micro Four Thirds sensor. Panasonic, you've got the tech, right? You've got one of the best internal processors on any, like, you've got it. On that GH6, any shooting mode that you select should not have a crop. Period.
Right.
You didn't have that many crops anyway, if any at all. Like the GH5, I know for a fact any of the shooting modes has no crop.
GH5.
10-bit.
The 10-bit has a slight crop, very small, but I've noticed that, and I can even show you now, probably, bro. To be honest, the GH5 has a slight crop when you shoot in 4K 10-bit.
Okay.
Internally, which, I mean, I'm not, that's not like a huge deal to me, because it's like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's,
even if there was a crop, it wasn't a huge deal enough for, it's like, it's not enough where you might even notice. You probably won't notice.
You don't. So, and I mean, I hopefully, I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm hoping you can. Yeah. But if it, so there's like a slight crop.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But it's not.
I can't see it. Bro, I'm being serious. I can see it, like, because you're making it obvious. But it's not enough to change the look where you're like, I need to readjust, I need to back up, I need to, it's like, okay.
It's like
change the framing. It's probably,
you wouldn't.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, I know they can do that. So that's not the problem. Add 4K up to 90 frames a second. Yeah, bro, 1080p 240 frames is still way ahead. No one's gonna be able to do that. Nope. They're the only ones that I know do 180, let alone 240. Yeah. So,
but I also need 120 with audio and autofocus.
True,
I need that.
We need that.
That's no excuse at this point.
They have to put autofocus in there. They need
that
option. They need. It's like, it's not even like, oh, if it does, it doesn't matter. It's like, if they don't, then to me it's like, you guys do listen, but you're not listening. Did you get it?
Right.
Like, come on.
Right.
If there's some legal, then if they don't, bro, then I know it's a legal issue behind closed doors.
Well, they did it with the Panasonic S1H. They put audio in that one, so I know they can do it with the GH6.
They can, but I mean the autofocus one. If they don't add it for the GH6, it's a legal issue behind closed doors with Sony. I know it. I know it. Because they get their sensors.
Just like it is with the flip screen.
Yeah,
just like it is with the flip screens. People don't know that. That's why Sony don't really have fully articulated screens, because Canon and Panasonic got that.
It's a legal issue. If you're on the sixth iteration of the GH line and you still haven't been able to put autofocus in there in any way, shape, or form in this new decade, it's a legal issue.
Yep.
And no one can tell me otherwise. Like, that's a legal
I'm with
issue.
you.
And that, to me, that would just annoy me to the core.
Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%. I'm with you on that one, brother. But I don't know about you,
was
but
awesome.
I got some videos to get done today.
Yeah, bro. Get it done. I'm gonna make lunch for the kids, and then if there's a round 2 later on, hit me up.
Yeah, yeah, dude, this is good. I think we need like a podcast or something, man. To be honest, man.
The thing is, T inspired me. Lover of cameras and gears. That channel is getting created. I need to get the artwork done, get that popped off, because I want the audience that comes on there to appreciate the camera talk, because it's nothing against. I love my audience here, but again, like the camera talk gets deep. They more appreciate the smartphone stuff, so I don't want to kill that on here. So.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Versus me, I just force my subscribers. If you gonna like it, you not. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, bye. I just didn't want to. I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I mean, granted, you and T have more subscribers than I do. Yeah. So to me, I kind of still feel like you're at a position where you could just do it now, because I always tell people look at Armando forever. He was an Android channel.
Yeah, true.
Then he transitioned living into Apple. Now he's just a full camera video channel.
I love his channel, man. I can't wait until he gets the C500 Mark II and really breaks it down. Like he will break it down from how to rig it up if you want to, even though you don't need to, because that's what stands by the C200, that you don't need to rig it. Like you don't. You can rig it if you want to, compared to Blackmagic where you need to rig it.
It's so funny with the argument with the Blackmagic cameras. They always make it seem like and don't get me wrong, Blackmagic is very impressive, but at the end of the day, that price point sound good, but after you rig it, that camera, that $20,000 body has now become like roughly like 5 bands. And it's like, that camera's not worth 5 bands.
Bro, you need to rig it. you need to rig it.
Yeah.
So like, I can't wait for him to get his C500 Mark II. I'm glad Potato Jet's got his. In terms of, I'm glad certain people have got it so that I can. It's a dream camera for me, right? It is, but it's a dream camera that, compared to a Red, if you gave me, it would make me want to create. Whereas if I had a Red, I wouldn't want to create.
I'm gonna be real with you, bro. I don't think I would ever really fully purchase a cinema camera. Like, I think for me, the smarter thing would be to do is just like rent it.
Yeah, that's always the smart thing to do with cinema cameras. Anyway, it's a cult with renting cinema gear. It's a very big industry culture anyway. So that's what you should be doing most of the time. I mean, one of my guys works at Pro AV TV and Procam and rentals, and it's renting that type of level of gear is common nature, right?
Right.
But what makes it exciting with the new FX9 from Sony, the C200, the C500 Mark II is they feel purchasable.
Okay, that's fair.
What's nice about them. They feel purchasable. They feel it feels like it makes a bit more sense if you decided I'm gonna buy it rather than rent it. Which is a good thing. I like that. That's a line I like seeing getting blurred throughout the years. I can rock with that. You see, so
I'm with you.
Yeah, man.
I'm with you.
All right, man, bro. I'm gonna sign out. I'm glad I was determined for you to come on, because I felt like this was going to be a good discussion on both our perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, the way you broke down your argument, man, honestly, I really thought I was going to kill you, bro. I did. I thought I was like, it's nothing he can do in this argument, but it was valid.
But it's good. It gets you excited for the next 2-3 years for the camera scene, though.
It does. It's definitely, again, the way you explain a little bit more in depth. I get it now. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And now it does have me looking at the competitors a little bit closely, like, hey, like your move. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, bro. Nice one, man. Guys, thank you so much for shutting this off. You'll see us again, definitely. So watch out. Peace and love. Catch you guys later.